What's good, YouTube? Dmgaming here, guys, and today we have some Japanese reviews that are starting to come out for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, as well as some other news that we're going to get into, so let's jump straight into it. Roll the intro. All right, guys, so I do want to start off by saying that Gamer Ranks did a video yesterday about 10 things we need to know about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and it's something very interesting in that video. They said they talked about the playable and support characters, and they stated that the developers are going to be open later on, like in the future, to possibly adding more playable characters as well as more support characters upon the fans' request. So that's awesome. And I wanted to kind of talk about that real briefly before I get into the meat and potatoes of today's video. And that is one of those things where the game is going to be supported. Like you don't have to worry about them supporting this game. This game is going to be supported for at least a couple of years, in my personal opinion. And I know people are looking for a sequel and stuff like that. But guys, listen to me when I tell you, they don't have plans on making a sequel. They want this to be a standalone game. And that's not a bad thing, because the way that the game is structured, you already have the graphics that you need. You have the setup that you need. And the game is actually set up, in my opinion, for longevity, because with the original content, you're able to continue that if you want to. You know, they could even create a character feature later on in the game if they wanted to, okay? They can add whatever they want. They can continue to do Super, they can go into GT, they can go into Dragon Ball. And when you start looking at all of these things and the sub-quests involved, the characters involved, like it is a very, very real possibility that this game could be supported and last 2 to 3 years. Easily. Okay? So just know that they are going to support this game and that it's good, in my opinion, it's good right now and it's only going to get better. You see what I'm saying? Through updates and things like that. And it's a lot easier to do that too with the game being single player as opposed to the game being multiplayer. Now, could they add a multiplayer feature in the game later on? Yeah, they could. Do I see them doing that? Not right now. I see them focusing more on the single player element and the foundation of the game. Now, if they do add it in the future, okay, cool. Like I said, I don't really believe that they will. I believe that they'll just continue with what they are doing, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. All right. So that's that. Okay. So like, this is dope because like I said, guys, that means that this game is going to be supported for a couple of years. Now for the meat and potatoes. So like I said, go check that video out. It's on Gamer Ranks. It's their top 10 things you need to know. Now, this is from Jamatsu. They're on Twitter. They're Japanese video game news, all in one. You can email the editor. The DMs are open. But what they have here is they basically have reviews for several games. And the way that the scoring goes for them is I don't know the metrics as far as why this is broken down into 4 categories. And you're going to see a website here in a second that's going to relate to that as well. So like I said, you're going to see a website here that's going to show this as well, but it's not going to have the dashes between the numbers. It's going to look like just a straight number. So when you see Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, you're going to see a score of 9898 instead of 9/8/9/8, which it comes out to a 34 out of 40, which isn't bad. That isn't bad at all, especially looking at some of these other games. You got one Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That one got a 34 out of 40. That was the only other game. Some of the other ones, Yakuza, Like a Dragon, got a 38 out of 40. That's very impressive. Yakuza games are popular and stuff like that. And these are the games that they come out on. Sacred Stones on the Switch got a 27 out of 40. You know, and you can go and look at that. But I mean, even looking at their website here, where those reviews are posted, Famitsu review scores issue 1623. And I don't know if that game was in there or, you know, so I don't know. Like I'm just being real. I don't know if you read this as a full number, maybe, you know, or if you read it like that. It doesn't explain the scores. This is really all the information that it gives. The week's Famitsu review scores are in. So the way that it works is they basically have 4 reviewers. This is how it works. They have 4 different people review the game, and then they give a score for each of those people, and then they give a total collective score for the game. So, and this is in Japanese. So for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, one person gave it a 9 out of 10. Another person gave it an 8 out of 10. Another person gave it a 9 out of 10. And another person gave it an 8 out of 10 for a total score of 34 out of 40 possible points. So that's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, in Yakuza did even better than that. 2 people gave that a 10 out of 10. And so in my opinion, in Japanese, that's not a bad score. 34 out of 10 is not a bad score at all. So you got 2 9s and 2 8s out of 10s. And so that's dope. So guys, before I get into this next part, I do want to tell y'all to please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. We got 1,000 likes on the other video. I'm so thankful for that. Let's see how many we can get on this one. And like I said, subscribe to the channel. Check out the merchandise down in the description box down below. Dmgaming. I got my merch, and then I also have some from Beautiful Halo, which I'll show that real quick, and we'll jump into the actual breakdown of the article from what they gave us.
You can find all kinds of themes merch on beautifulhalo.com. We have anime, comic, game, memes, and many other themes merch. Check the link in the description and find your favorite hoodies and tees now.
All right, so going into the article, it's from Ryokucha, if I'm pronouncing that right. And it's in Japanese, of course, but this is showing that same list that I just showed y'all. These are the games, and here is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot right here, and it gives the score like that. But what it like I just explained how those scores break down for them. If I'm pronouncing that name wrong, Kamucha or something to that, Famitsu, that's the review thing, and they're a major review magazine in Japan. They're a major review. But that's the score they gave for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. A 9, a 8, a 9, and an 8, which comes out to a 37 out of 40, or a 34 out of 40, which is really, really dope. Anyway, and this is not for that game. This one is for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot right here. Okay. And basically, I'll tell you what this says. I had to write it down, translating it or whatever like that. But, and it's weird how it sounds, but basically it says a little work filling in, collecting orbs and cooking. There is, so a little work, and basically what he's saying is there's some grinding. A little work in collecting orbs and cooking. He said the battles are beautifully described. The reproduction of original scenes are impressive. So that's always cool. Collecting orbs and searching for ingredients and repeating the Zako. I don't know what Zako is. I imagine it's kind of like those random battles that you get with the robots and stuff like that. They said those fights are a bit cumbersome, and I think that's what Zako is. I think that's what Zako is. It says that those get a bit cumbersome. And guys, we already know that because we know that the game can get repetitive. And even looking at that, it looks repetitive. I said that. I was upfront about that. I know that going in. You get what I'm saying? They said the 3D battles look cool and the struggle that is drawn looks different. So what they mean by that, the 3D battles, they look cool. And basically, every fight doesn't look the same. It's not a repetitive fight in the sense. They all look different. It's a different experience with each fight that you get into. The density, and this is where it kind of gets into the negative stuff. The density and the variety of play are a little unsatisfactory for the size and space. And what they mean by that, the density and variety of play, they mean that the areas are large, but they're not very populated. We already know this because if you go into the towns are very populated. There's a lot to do, a lot of people to talk to. It's like that in the anime. But when you get out into the wilderness, it's not as populated as you would think it is. And there's not a whole bunch of stuff to do. Like, it's not like you go into an area and it's just full of side quests. It's not like that. And that's what they're saying here. It's a bit unsatisfactory for as large as the area is. They said it feels a bit unsatisfactory for an open world game. And that's what I'm saying. When you have the way that this game is set up as far as the open world is that the game it's open world, yes, but it's not open world. It's kind of like Destiny. If you want to put that into perspective, Destiny, you can go to different locations, and within those locations, there's a lot of space to roam around and do a lot of different things and stuff like that. So it's similar to that. You know, if you're going into this game expecting an open world, fully populated, full of stuff to do like Grand Theft Auto, it's not that kind of game. While the areas are huge and very spacious, and there are subquests and training and things like that to do in those areas, each area is not just jam-packed full of subquests. No, it's whenever you look at the collective total of this game is where you see that there are tons of subquests, tons of activities to do. Now, going on with that, he says he was impressed with the background music, the anime music, and he said the racing is fun. And then also he says the sexy depictions from the anime are more modest. And what he means by that is that, you know, the scenes in the anime that were real provocative, they've toned that down because, guys, this is a game that's T for teen. So if I was to summarize everything that he said here, and I'm going to provide a link in the description for this, so you can go and check it out for yourself. But basically what he's saying is that the game looks good. The battles are fun. They're interesting. It is nice to do these side missions, although it does get repetitive. We know that. I can look at the game and see that. So one draw that he would take from the game and that I would take from what he said is that maybe in the future, you know, CyberConnect 2 can populate these areas with more missions and more subquests. That was one of my major concerns, and I did a video on that going into this game. One of my major concerns was the repetitiveness of this game. You know, I know it's an RPG. You know, you're playing these games and they get repetitive. How do you break up that repetitiveness? And mostly it's through the cinematics and the story mode and things like that. You see what I'm saying? So you have to find a healthy balance, you see. And the story mode provides that. The subquests provide that. But when you're going around collecting orbs, it reminds me of Legacy of Goku from what I hear, in that leveling up your characters can be tedious and repetitive. So hopefully it's not too much of a drain. I think being able to switch between characters can change that up. But even though switching between characters, you're still doing the same thing. That's why things like the skill tree and stuff like that is implemented to break up some of that repetitiveness that you are going to have without a shadow of a doubt in every RPG game. Pokemon is the exact same way, and Pokemon is extremely popular. You know, Pokemon, you're going through grass, you're fighting a Pokemon, you're fighting a gym leader, you fight your rival. It's the same thing over and over and over. Same thing in Xenoverse. You're grinding those subquests, the same subquests over and over and over and over and over, trying to get things. So repetitiveness is not bad in the game. It just depends on how it's done. And I know for people who may be naysayers to say, oh, well, look, I told you, guys, 2 people gave this game a 9 out of 10. The other 2 people gave it an 8 out of 10. So it's not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination. So I thought that I would share that with y'all. Shout out to DBS Hype, because I already had this part from Twitter. I had this part, but he sent me the link to the article for the full review. So shout out to him at Dragon Ball at DBS Super Hype. I'm going to put a link to his Twitter also in the description box below. I'm pretty sure y'all know who he is. So actually, I'll put it right here on the screen. DBS Hype right here. This is his Twitter. You can go check him out at DBS Hype. tell them Dmgaming sent you, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Till next time, thanks for watching. Peace.